What is up, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Six Pack YouTube channel for the Week 16 game preview show. I'm your host, Dylan Clemens. Here with me, as they are every Friday or Saturday, are my two co-hosts, Ike Body and Micah Plant. Happy holidays, fellas. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah, happy holidays to you as well, and everybody out there listening to us. Hope everybody has a Merry Christmas. Everyone here got the memo except Ike about the Christmas theme. So
Yeah, apparently I'm not in the group chat, so fuck you guys.
you are in the group chat. You leave us on read.
Yeah, so I don't know quite what happened there. Missed the memo. You know, it happens. It happens. But yeah, guys, before we jump into our Week 16 matchups, because it's fantasy playoff time, guys, and semifinals, let's go. I just want to remind you, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you don't already, and then head on over to fantasy6pack.net/plans to become an all-access member for just $9.99 a month. You get access to our award-winning rankings, access to draft cheat sheets with Fantasy Baseball is going to be here before you know it, everybody. You get access to the F6P Discord as well, where you get custom advice for your leagues and DFS builds, plus direct access to myself, Michael Platt, Ike, Joe Bond, Chris Robin, Dave Eddy, you name it. We'll always be there answering your questions. Plus, you get the DFS projections and the stacking tool. Plus, at checkout, when you go to sign up, use FF Playoffs as your promo code, and you get 25% off. So it's the absolute perfect time to sign up. So make sure you do that today. Once again, that's fantasy6pack.net/plans. And guys, what do you say? Let's just jump right into things, eh?
As always, this one's going to be a fun one, a divisional battle.
Let's go. Saturday games. Remember, set your lineups tomorrow. We got two games, not three like last week, just two. We got the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers to start us off. Ike, no Jamar Chase this week. I'm curious your thoughts on T. Higgins now with him out. Is he a must start? Wide receiver too. He's most likely going to get shadowed by Joey Porter, who's another big physical corner who I feel like, in all honesty, matches up pretty well against T. Higgins. How are you feeling about him?
I have him more as a high-end wide receiver 3 than wide receiver 2, mainly because he's not, other than last week where he scored the 2 touchdowns, he hasn't really performed all that well. But still, with Jamar Chase out, he should be the focal point of the passing game. Obviously, Mixon's going to be involved, Chase Brown a little bit. But, yeah, still, he should be started in your lineups for the most part, unless you're super deep at wide receiver.
Sure. Yeah, it'll be interesting, like, what kind of target share he gets. You think it'll be up in, like, the 25% range, or do you not think that high? Because Jamar Chase was getting a lot of wide receiver screens and stuff, and a lot of safe throws from James.
T. Higgins won't get that. You will not see.
I wonder
Higgins
who that's going to go to. I wonder how like their wide receiver room's going to play out, because they got Trent Irwin, Tyler Boyd. They're both kind of slot receivers. So I would assume Boyd's
you might see Higgins get a screen or two because he's had a few of them, but that's just not his game. I think they just completely eliminate the whole screen game. If they do that, they'll do a check down to Chase Brown or Joe Mixon instead, just because they don't have that electric speed of Jamar Chase.
Yeah, for sure. Sick segue to Chase Brown, though, man. He's getting some more touches. Been decent the last few weeks. Do you have any interest in him this week at all, or no?
He actually looks better than I thought he ever would. I thought he was just going to be a great college back and then just back up here, maybe get some chances. But he's taking screens to the house. He's running pretty well. Still, in 10 to 12 team leagues, there's just no way you can trust him in this matchup. If you're in a deep league, 14, 16, whatever, you probably are running out of options, and he's actually better than quite a few other ones.
Well, let's just stay in this game, man. Would you rather play Chase Brown over any of the Steelers running backs this week, or are you still taking both Steelers back?
I would take Jalen Jalen Warren and Najee over Chase Brown for sure.
Okay, interesting. Same with you, Mike.
Yes.
All right, right on. We got a question here from Albert while we're on T. Higgins and the Bengals. You got T. Higgins or Ty Chandler full PPR this week?
As long as Madison's out, Chandler.
Yeah, if Madison's out, it's Chandler. But if Madison is in, it's T. Higgins.
Agreed.
Yeah, Yeah, I could side with you guys there. I kind of want to say T. Higgins, but it's close, and I will actually lean Ty Chandler, I guess, in this one. It's tough. Mike, looking at the Steelers side of things, looks like it's Mason Rudolph at quarterback, and man,
Oh yeah.
The only thing I remember about him is Myles Garrett trying to take his helmet off and beat him with it. But what?
Dented his forehead.
Look at where both of them are now. One's a defensive player of the year candidate. One is a third string.
One's a starter actually.
Yeah, Garrett.
This week.
Does Rudolph starting just kill this entire offense? Like, we were already pretty much scared away from George Pickens. Pat Freiermuth has burned us the last few weeks after coming back and being really good for the 1 week. Those guys might be already dead to us, but what are the likes about like Deontay Johnson? Are you worried about him as well?
I mean, like, I'm even worried about the running backs here because when you get a quarterback like Mason Rudolph in there who doesn't have very many starts, you know, the defensive coordinator, whoever he's playing, is going to load the box and make him decide, you know, quickly because he's going to be blitzing the fuck out of him. So, like,
to get their work in passing.
Exactly. Like in the Bengals offense are, you know, frisky. I mean, even without Joe Burrow, they've, you know, been the main reason why Browning's had a chance in these games. So I am worried about Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. I mean, Warren could be saved by the targets. You know, he's pretty much getting 5 a game at this point. But I really, you know, only trust Deontay Johnson. Average of 6 targets the past 3 games and at least 13 plus fantasy points in that 3-game stretch. You know, granted, that was, you know, with Mitch Trubisky. I believe one game was with Pickett even.
Yeah.
And he's got 3 straight games of touchdowns. So, like, it's a pretty solid floor. And if they load the box, Deontay Johnson's just going to hound the targets. So he's pretty much the only one I want to lock and load from this offense this week.
Yeah, that's definitely absolutely fair. Looking at the second game of our Saturday doubleheader, we got the Buffalo Bills taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. Like, are we starting to worry about Dalton Kincaid? Is he still a top 10 tight end this week? I thought I said Dawson when I said the right thing, actually. So I almost corrected myself. I didn't need to. Is he still a top 10 tight end? Because last few weeks haven't been pretty from him since Dawson Knox has come back.
In his past 2 games, he's actually been a tight end 23 or worse. But for some reason, it's just gut feeling. I think he does have a comeback game. I mean, for the first time since week 5, he saw less than 6 targets. I mean, he saw 6-7 targets 2 weeks ago, but just couldn't convert them. Weird game in Dallas with Josh Allen throwing only 7 times. So you can't take that as going to happen every week. You can't take James Cook or dominate every week. So he's good for 5, 6, 7 targets, which is fantastic for a tight end.
Yeah, that's fair. James Cook,
I still have a borderline 12, I think 11, 12, or 13. One of those.
I still would have thought you would have had him in the top 8, so that surprises me a little bit. But you're
playing Njoku over him. You're playing the Hawkinsons, obviously Kelsey's. You're playing. He's probably around the Dallas Goedert range. I have him higher than Goddard, I think, but he's around that area.
All right. Yeah, totally fair. You're starting James Cook. You're starting Josh Allen. You're starting Diggs, even though it's been a little bit of a slog for him lately, right? We're still trusting.
It's just one of those things you can't bench him. It's just he can easily see 12 targets, 10 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. It's like, well, shit.
Is this a game day week with this broken down pretty much entire Chargers team? They stink.
They're not gonna have to do much. I think this could be another James Cook type of game. Obviously, I still believe in Kincaid, but man, Easton Stick is one of the more brutal quarterbacks that are starting right now, and that's weird to say because there's some bad ones, but yeah, they're not gonna have to do much.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Mike, you got anything to add?
I wouldn't be surprised if, you definitely 100% start Stephon Diggs, because it would not shock me if he has a 3-touchdown performance this week. I mean, they're trying to get into the playoffs. The Chargers defense is the perfect team to get Stephon Diggs rolling against. So, I mean, he could give you the type of game Jamar Chase gave you last year in the fantasy playoffs where so don't play it cute. Start your studs.
Yeah, I agree. I would not be surprised if this is a get right game for Stephon Diggs. You got to keep that guy happy. So, looking at the chart,
third most points given up to wide receivers, Chargers. So, perfect game for him.
Yes, it is. Mike, we talked about, Ike mentioned Easton Stick. With no Keenan Allen again this week, is Josh Palmer viable after him catching a long touchdown last week?
I think he's a risky flex. He's worth a starting option this week, especially with Keenan Allen ruled out again, just based on the volume alone. Like last week, you kind of got to scratch the game script. I mean, being down that 42 points at halftime.
Yeah.
I mean, you should have seen more targets, but honestly, like they were just, it was 3 and out after 3 and out after 3 and out, or turnover, and then 3 and out, mix it in. So like you kind of throw that out. He's really the only guy. I mean, so like he's going to see probably about 6+ targets. I'd probably put him at like realistically like 8. They're going to be down like we just stated. So they're going to have to play it. I don't think it's an absolute massacre like last week. So I do think he's worth a flex. If you're desperate, sure, plug him into the wide receiver 3, seeing the floor of a wide receiver 3 with the targets, but just, kind of temper your expectations a little bit. It's Easton Stick throwing him the ball, not Justin Herbert.
Would you rather start Joshua Palmer or Gabe Davis this week?
Palmer.
Guaranteed targets. Fair enough. Make it a little harder. Josh Palmer or T. Higgins?
That's what I thought you were originally going to go with, and I'm going to go T. Higgins on that one.
I would go T as well there.
How about that? Us agreeing on everything.
I just think Browning's a better quarterback than Easton Stick at the moment.
Yeah, same.
What's up, Kenny? We appreciate the question. Start one wide
Merry
receiver,
Christmas,
2
Kenny.
flex, full PPR. Higgins, Ayuk, Mixon, Bijan. Start one wide receiver.
Go the
2
wide.
flex.
Yeah, it's between Higgins and Ayuk for our wide receivers here, boys. And this one, I actually, I go Higgins on this one over Ayuk. We talked about.
I agree
Ayuk.
with the plan, which is weird, but yeah, I do.
We talked about it yesterday.
I think Ayuk might struggle.
Yeah, we talked about it last night on the show with Joe and Nick Scripp. If you guys care to listen to him, he's a very very intelligent individual. Works over there at Fantrax. He was on the show last night. But yeah, you start Higgins in this one, and then I think you're flexing both the running backs over Ayuk, in my opinion.
But is playing Higgins and Mixon on the same team the best idea?
I know you're kind of cutting your ceiling off, but the thing is I explained the Ravens.
Yeah,
like,
so
that ceiling is non-existent. It's non-existent over there in that game. So like, just still give me that. I will still take Mixon and Higgins in the same starting lineup.
I'm still playing Higgins, Ayuk, and Mixon there.
You don't trust Bijan?
No. Why would I do that? He just
because
gave you a 0.
I know.
He just gave you 0 right there, Mike.
Previous to that week, he was still averaging 18 touches a game. All right. And if you watch the game, he fumbled. All right. Arthur Smith, pretty much punished him for fumbling the ball. It's an archaic move, but whatever. It's Arthur Smith's job that's on the line for benching his best players when it comes to the division on the fucking line. So if he's going to continue to not use Bijan, he's going to lose that job. So I think Arthur Smith is smart enough to be like, all right, we got to win some games here. Bijan, let's work on your fumbling in practice and then move on. It's a great matchup too. Colts, I mean, what is it here? 4th best.
We'll get into it next. It's our next matchup we're talking about. Yeah, I hear you there. I can't agree with you guys there. Okay.
I mean, it's just there's not many.
It doesn't matter who his backup is because it's between Mixon and Bijan for flex. So,
yep. Looking at the. Go ahead, Mike.
Just real quick, and I just want to,
Who the hell is his two other running backs, by the way, that he has to decide between Mixon and Bijan?
Let's say we know Josh Jacobs is playing this week. Josh Jacobs or Bijan? He plays the Chiefs. Jacobs. Still go Bijan.
I would.
I don't know.
Yeah,
that one's real close.
Like, there's not a lot of backups that you're starting over Bijan right now, unfortunately, because it's so the running backs are beat up just as much as.
All right, how about Gibbs or Bijan?
Gibbs or Bijan?
Gibbs 100%.
All right, how about Monty or Bijan?
Oh, that one's Bijan.
Monty still.
Oh, okay. I'd say Bijan over Monty for that one. So
Bijan over Monty.
We'll get to that later, but
Gibbs over Bijan.
We can move on.
Looking at the Sunday games, we got the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Ike, it looks like Jonathan Taylor will be back this week after the thumb injury. I'm intrigued to see how this works out because a thumb is pretty important. I feel like that's an important thing to need when you're trying to hold on to the football. You trusted it this week?
I mean, obviously, I'm trusting him because JT, so he should be good. He'll get the touches or whatever. Zach Moss is going to become what he normally is, get a few carries here and there. But I feel like JT's should have been playing this whole time. If it's just a thumb injury for a running back, you can get away with that. Maybe you can go to your left side and hold it. I don't know what thumb he hurt, right or left, but go to the opposite side. I don't know if that changes the way you run or not. But I just feel like a running back can play with thumb injuries, so I don't think it hampers him at all with the way he carries the ball, catches the ball, or anything.
Yeah, it might have just needed to heal because he did have to have surgery on it, so it might not have been able to get hit or anything. So that's fair. Makes sense. I get it. Like you said, Mike, you alluded to it. Michael Pittman Jr. after that scary hit is going to play. Just real quick, was that hit more on the defender or was that on Gardner Minshew for throwing a hospital ball right there? Well, like what is Casey supposed to do on that play? In all honesty,
you want my honest opinion?
I do, Mike.
You probably don't agree with it.
He didn't launch, right?
Who? Casey or Pittman?
Casey didn't launch, right? He just hit him with his he led with the helmet, right?
Well, his shoulder and helmet, but helmet made contact. But I mean, your question, that you actually bring it up perfectly. He didn't launch, but Pittman did. All right.
Yeah. He's trying to catch the ball.
You can see that Pittman launched at a horizontal angle. All right, at an angle at which he was not going to get up and run with the ball after the catch. All right. He could have came in knowing that and, probably went a little lighter at it. It's not like it was a vertical catch and he could have made some, extra yards after the catch. It was like the CMC catch last week where he landed flat on his stomach. Mm-hmm. All right. And you had to touch him and he was down. So, that's why I say it's like 50-50 because it's on Minshew too. Like, I see Tom Brady's point. You see him, coming out with the comments. Like, I see his point. The QB's got to be a little safer with it. And he's screwed to an extent. But at the same time, like, that specific play, he was launched at a horizontal angle. At no point was he going to get up and run after the catch with how fast Casey came in. He could have just touched him down. So that's why I say specifically for that.
It definitely could have ended Pittman's career too if he would have folded him a little bit more, kind of similar like what we saw from Johnny Knox a while back. I'm sure you remember that from the Bears. That was scary stuff. So it's good to see him back and going to be ready to go. Yeah, that about JT affects his ability to.
I don't know if
for sure,
but does it? Because most running backs don't hold the ball with just your hand like this, and I'm gonna hold the ball like here. They tuck it on their arm, so unless their arm is weak or under their arm, they should be fine. So I don't know.
Good old peanut punch.
Looking at the Falcons side of things, Mike, and we've already danced circles around Bijan. We've talked about him a ton here, so let me know just about the other guys here in this offense with Taylor Heineke back under center. Did I read that Desmond Ritter's out for the season, or did I mishear that? Or is he just benched?
He's just benched.
I think he was just benched.
Okay. Yeah, he's just benched. But,
I'm going to Google it.
Go ahead. So, it's just more of the same, honestly. Like, in this 3-game span that Heineke started, which was weeks 8 to 10, Jonnu Smith had a tight end 5 finish. It was that screen that he took 60 yards to the house, I believe. And Bijan had an RB13 finish. London and Pitts just absolutely did nothing with Heineke. So, I mean, I know you guys don't agree with me, but I lean the running backs. I mean, I think you can get away with playing Tyler Algier even in a flex position, just because we're in the cold games. We're in the months where, the Falcons need to win a fucking game. So
this game's indoors, asshole.
Well, I just meant like it's the winter months.
Where they want to grind it out. I get it.
They grind it out because that's just the way the Falcons are, especially if you got Taylor Heineke at quarterback. He probably wants a game manager at this point, and that's why he went to him. So I lean the running backs in this situation, again, against a good matchup, third best against running backs. Just start him based on the volume. He's not going to get benched again unless he fumbles it again, but we don't play that if game because we could play with every single player on the planet.
Yep. I'm okay still. If you've been rolling Kyle Pitts, keep rolling him out there. I know I am this weekend. Drake London, would we rather play Drake or T Higgins?
T.
Drake London, that's T.
Yeah, I would go T as well. I wanted to say Clayton. I thought you played running back in high school, so that does make a little bit of sense.
That's fair.
High and tight.
From Cruz.
Well, high and
What's up, my
tight. Fuck
friend?
that thumb, bro.
You got Lamar or Purdy? Guy I'm playing has
Lamar.
Ayuk.
Lamar, obviously.
So far with Kyron and Puka.
That one's Lamar.
Yeah, I'm good with Lamar there as well. Angela said Bijan's taking a seat.
The only
for him,
one
I would not start Chuba Hubbard over him.
I would start Chuba.
Really?
What?
I would start Chuba, but I wouldn't start Singletary.
Chuba's getting
Bijan.
a lot of volume.
See, I would start Singletary over Chuba.
Chuba's been getting more volume than Bijan.
Yeah, that's fine, but he basically does nothing with it, though. And plus, I don't like that offense at all compared to a Bills offense.
You can't predict Singletary. He's a desperation guy.
The carries and the receiving work from Dameon Pierce. Dude played 5% of the snaps last week.
Yeah, Pierce only had 3 snaps or something, which was
so
they were down the whole game. Like I said, he's a game script dependent guy. If Devin Singletary is the negative game script dude and Dameon Pierce is the positive game script guy.
I would play Bijan over Chuba in literally every league I owned him.
How about
I do think it's a little more than that.
Chuba or
Mike.
Eckler?
Chuba or Eckler?
Yep.
Probably Chuba.
Yep.
That's crazy how far Eckler has fallen, but Eckler has done absolute shit for me the past.
But is Bijan to the Eckler level?
No, I think Bijan gets more work than him.
Thanks for bringing up Eckler, Mike, because we didn't even touch on him here. I don't know what I was listening to. It might have been the show last night when they talked about how Kellen Moore just doesn't throw the ball to running backs. Thanks, forever. And Austin Eckler, that's his thing, guys. Obviously, he's been a pass catching running back his whole career. Oh, hi, Han. I'm Eckler. You can miss me with that.
He's the one where it's Angela was saying, Bijan can take a rest, Eckler can take a rest, depending on your guy. Give me Singletary over Eckler at this point. But not in that situation where Bijan.
What about Gus Edwards or Eckler?
That's Eckler.
Okay. All right.
More volume. It's Eckler's getting the volume. It's just that offense isn't doing jack shit with it. Eckler still saw 6 targets last week. He got, I think it was 13 carries. So, he's getting 15 plus touches. That's what we like in an RB2 at the very least.
Yeah, I get that a little bit. But, Gary, we talked about Pittman earlier. Pittman is going to be a go.
Seems to be.
Yeah, so good stuff there. What do we got?
I like
next
this.
Game?
Angelo, he's in his playoff round. It's 2 weeks, just like our home league. I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good lead. Good lead.
160,
Pray to the fantasy
71.
gods.
Next game, guys, we got the Green Bay Packers taking on the Carolina Panthers. The guy wearing the Packer sweater didn't even get the Packer question. Suck it, Mike LaPlante. Ike, Tavian Wicks or Romeo Dobbs, if you have to start just one of these guys this week.
Can I choose
and I see your answer in the thing. No, you can't choose neither.
Why? This is the tough pass defense.
Well, hold on. And but listen, Christian Watson was ruled doubtful. Jaden Reed hurt his toe, so he's questionable heading into this one. So these guys might be fantasy relevant this week. And it's like you said, it's not a great matchup. So
I think it's more of an
where you
Aaron
going
Jones type of game. So it depends on who you think has a more proven track record. And to me, it's Romeo Doubs. Granted, it's not as great, but still he has had multiple times throughout the year where he's played good. Wicks is more here and there. It just kind of depends on the way it goes. So I would even the dude right there said Angelo Kraft. Tucker Kraft actually was really good last week. So
not if he hurdles another defender and gets hit
in the balls. Yeah, right. But honestly, I don't like any of the wide receivers in this. If you want to take a shot at Romeo Doubs or Tucker Kraft in deep leagues, go for it. But this is more of an Aaron Jones type of game. Carolina struggles on the run. He should get a decent amount of carries. He should get the targets too. I don't know if AJ Dillon is out or not. But
he is questionable, so it's yet to be determined as well. He broke his thumb, right? But he didn't have to have surgery like Jonathan Taylor. So, yeah, he's questionable. So that'll be interesting to see. That just caps Aaron Jones' ceiling if A.J. Dillon plays. Jones still got a solid floor because of his pass catching ability, and he's still going to get his carries. But I agree. If A.J. Dillon is ruled out, I think Aaron Jones could be a top 10, top 15 guy this week against the Panthers.
He saw only 48% of the snaps last week, and that was with A.J. Dillon out too, and he was RB21. So expect both 60%. To go up. Yeah, 60% snaps. So. Give him multiple more. At least 2 or 3 more points because of that. He's RB15 at least.
Sure. Mike, we touched on Chuba already. We pretty much said that he is a must. Well, we said that we were playing him this week because this matchup against the Packers is great. You said it on the show last night. Death taxes and being able to run the ball on the Packers.
Not exactly the same quote, but yeah, you got the gist.
But what do you think about Mingo this week? Any interest here? And do you like him over Adam Thielen?
At this point, yeah, over Adam Thielen. He's just seeing more targets. I mean, 24 of the past 3 games. The only thing I don't like over Adam Thielen is his actual production with those targets. He's 61st for wide receivers and fantasy points per game the past 3. Even though he is 23rd in targets for wide receivers the past 3 games. So it's just an inefficiency aspect here because you got Bryce Young struggling. Obviously, this whole offense is struggling. So it's like there's a low floor and an even lower ceiling here. But so that means, if your choice is between Mingo and Thielen, though, Thielen has the touchdown upside, in my opinion, as the red zone threat. But Mingo has the yards upside, so he gives it a little bit more of a floor than Adam Thielen at this point, making Thielen more touchdown dependent.
And to be fair, with this offense struggling, they do stink. Okay, I will say that. But last week it was in a torrential downpour the entire game. Yeah. So let's.
It's amazing how cameras don't. It's amazing how the cameras don't catch the rain.
Yeah.
Until you're in a horizontal angle.
Yep, and then you see it and you're like, whoa. But yeah, it was real bad at Carolina.
What up, Hollywood?
Yeah, what up, Hollywood? Hollywood. Next game, we got Cleveland Browns taking on the Houston Texans. Ike, from what we saw from the Browns backfield last week, Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt, both didn't do anything. Bears defense has been great against opposing running backs, and they were last week. Do you want to just chalk the backfield up to just a bad week last week, or are you back being able to trust Jerome Ford and trust Kareem Hunt if you need to, if you're hoping for a touchdown dependent RB2 or something?
Jerome Ford is the only one that should be in starting lineups. Other than last week, he had 6 straight RB2 finishes, so clearly he is safe. Obviously, the Bears have a good run defense. I don't know why, don't know how. It just kind of happened. But as for Hunt,
Montez Sweat, baby.
Yeah, maybe. But as for Hunt, or even Gervon Dexter, Dylan did send the thing that he's been fantastic.
He's helping too.
But Hunt honestly can be dropped. This has been trend for him in the past 6 weeks. He has 0 top 24 finishes.
So he was on your drop list this week then?
He was.
Okay.
0 top 24 finishes. He's done nothing. It's obviously Ford's backfield, so you have to hope for Hunt to get a touchdown for him to even be worthy of starting. And even if he does get a touchdown, it's going to be 8 to 10 fantasy points, and that's just not enough for me. So
that's a back end RB2, maybe a high end RB3.
Yeah. I mean, that's in a lot of my leagues. That's just what I'm hoping for from my RB2 spot is just please fall into the end zone. But I hear it. I get why you don't want to bank on that for sure. You're firing up Amari Cooper with Joe Flacco. What do we think about Joe Flacco in this matchup? Is he a borderline option here, or are we looking elsewhere? Like, would we rather have a Baker Mayfield over Joe Flacco?
Yes, Baker. Yes, Baker. Like he's Flago right now. QB6 the past 3 games.
Yeah, totally fair. Totally fair there. Looking at the Houston Texans side of things. Last I saw Mike, Nico Collins is questionable. I'm not sure which way he's trending. We saw what Noah Brown did last week with Collins out and Case Keenum at quarterback. CJ Stroud's also questionable. Not sure which way he's trending, but if no Nico this week, or even with Nico, however you want to answer this question, are we firing up Noah Brown after what we saw?
I mean, I'll answer it both ways. I mean, without Nico, Noah Brown last week, with Case Keenum and those, CJ Stroud finishes wide receiver 9. All right, 11 targets is good enough to start him if Nico is out and, kind of just lock him into the lineup. Yeah. Although if Nico is playing, if you have better options, you could probably, play them over Noah Brown. But if you're desperate, you can still go with the flex play there because I think Case Keenum showed that he could, just manage this offense. All right. He targeted the hell out of Noah Brown. All right, now this is a much tougher matchup compared to last week. Tennessee Titans are the 7th best matchup for wide receivers compared to 2nd toughest for Cleveland. But, I mean, think about it. If Nico Collins plays, I mean, it's just a bigger benefit for Noah Brown because he's going to take all the attention from Denzel Ward. So I do like Noah Brown this week. I mean, I temper the expectations with him just because of the matchup. But I think you can get away with at least playing him in your flex even if Nico's there.
Sure. I tend to agree there. Looking at the running backs, I know we touched on it a little bit, so we could just go quick. You kind of talked about the game script, maybe scripting Dameon Pierce out of it last week. Do you expect him to be more involved this week? Would you rather play Singletary or Pierce if you happen to have both of these guys?
This is probably going to just be an ugly game because Houston's defense is all right. So I probably would still – I mean, I guess I still prefer Devin Singletary out of it. But, man, I don't expect as many targets as he got last week, essentially, is what I'm getting at.
Sure. Yeah, that's definitely fair as well. Next game, we got a battle of the NFC North, guys. We got the Detroit
This one's an important game.
Taking on the Minnesota Vikings. It absolutely is. Ike, looking at the Lions running backs this week, because we're starting Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think we like Jared Goff, even though he's on the road. He's still inside against Minnesota. I think we're
okay going, man. Come on.
He's been much better this season against the blitz than previous years, which we like to see. We like to see quarterbacks progressing in the right direction there. So let's look at the running backs.
Thank you, Ben Johnson.
And in all honesty, you're probably starting both of these guys, Ike. But which way are you trending in the backfield this week? And I will say rest of the season, but this week and next week, I can just say now since there's only 2 weeks left, Gibbs or Monty?
If for whatever actually, for the most part, you could have both these guys on your team and have been having to make this choice pretty much all year.
I just play both.
That's what Chris Robin had him in.
Yeah, that's
Chris
not
Robin
bad.
had him in Scott Fishbowl, and he just said he's just playing both of them each week. So
yeah,
probably worked out more than it didn't.
Yes, absolutely, it did.
But there is a difference between them if you have to choose between one. Since Monty returned from injury, which was week 10, which has been 6 games, counting week 10, obviously. Gibbs has had 5 RB2 finishes. 3 of them have been RB1s. He's been RB8, averaging 17.9 fantasy points per game. As for Monty, he has the same amount of RB2 finishes, but only 1 RB1 finish, He's been RB16, averaging 14 points per game. Obviously, both are worth starting if you have them on the same team, but if you have to choose, I'm going Gibbs.
Didn't you know this was the Lions' plan? They didn't.
Yeah,
you know,
working in late.
Apparently, there was actually a news article that said this is exactly what the Lions wanted to do, because they said that rookies, once you get to this point of the season, you break down, you reach a rookie wall. It's like Gibbs isn't hitting that wall yet because
most of this
is
a rookie after their bye too. So usually after bye, the rookie running back, rookie wide receiver, whatever, starts getting more reps, getting all the shit.
That was definitely a good point from you too, Mike.
Jamie.
Because we're seeing running backs like Travis Etienne start to break down now, and we're not seeing that from Gibbs because he was getting less than 10 touches a game early in the season. So he's starting to come alive now. It's never too early to talk about draft season, guys. So let me just ask you this, and let's just spend 30 seconds on it. Who is the running back that's drafted higher next year out of this backfield, Gibbs or Montgomery?
Depends your league.
PPR. It's full point
PPR. Full PPR.
12 teams.
I mean, it's either one. It's either one. I mean, even if it's standard, it's still Gibbs.
Oh, really? I think standard. I think it's more Monty, but either way, Gibbs is literally right there. So altogether, I'd go Gibbs over Monty.
Gibbs a mid-second round pick, or would you go borderline round one with him?
Depends what happens to Ben Johnson, because that could change the entire.
That's
offense.
big.
Yeah, I will go out on a limb and say
I don't think he'll be there.
I don't know if he's going to be making $15 million a year like he wants, though. Like that was pretty something when that came out. But that's a discussion for a different day. Looking at the Vikings side of things, Mike, Jordan Addison, awesome last week with Big Dick Nick Mullins at quarterback.
I told you that last week too when we had the question. I even looked back to it. I told you it was T. Higgins or Addison, and honestly, you couldn't go wrong playing either one.
I was going to say,
all right, but
obviously Addison was higher.
We nailed it with Addison, though.
Yeah,
I mean it's Nick Mullins.
This matchup is juicy as all could be as well, too, and I know Justin Jefferson is in this game as well, but can we expect Jordan Addison another top 36, top 24 week from him?
I mean, 36. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you should expect what he had last week. I mean, getting 2 touchdowns on 6 targets. That's just good efficiency. But here's the thing with Nick Mullins at quarterback here. All right, we're getting just more passing attempts. And that's what we wanted. There's a ceiling here again for the wide receivers where when Josh Dobbs was the guy, he was running the ball about 6 times a game, just eating into that ceiling.
Helps
and a little bit
a lot too.
Bingo. I mean, Nick Mullins, he's a little bit of a loose cannon. You saw the second touchdown with Jordan Addison about how he ran out of the pocket and just kind of just go get it. So I mean, you don't expect as good of numbers as last week, but still he's going to target Addison 6+ times. In a good matchup here. I mean, you can pass on the Lions. It's a little tougher to run on them.
Yep, but it seems like this offense and Kevin O'Connell are not scared to throw the ball with Nick Mullins, in all honesty. They're kind of just letting him chuck it everywhere last week.
He was the original backup, but it was just he was on IR when Josh Dobbs got traded over.
Yeah, totally fair. We got a couple questions here, guys. What's up, Malcolm? Good to see you. Start 2 RBs. You got Henry Achan, Saquon Barkley, James Conner.
That was tough.
And Aaron Jones. Yes, it is. And give me Devon Achan and give me Saquon Barkley.
Barkley against the Eagles?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? He says. I don't want to like back off on Achan because I planted my flag on him. But man, he really hurt me last week, and Mostert seems to be the guy. Like they're trying to like break some records down there with his touchdown totals this year. So it really worries me for A-Chain. So your automatic lock, I think, is Aaron Jones this week against the Panthers, especially with the injured wide receivers, banged up wide receivers. Man, it is between A-Chain and Barkley though. Just Barkley's getting the touches. Man, give me A-Chain and Aaron Jones.
Ike, same for you?
Yeah. Dallas, obviously, they can be beat on the run or on the ground. So if you want to beat them, best way to do it is using Devin A-Chain, who's got the speed to do it. Obviously,
we did have a question before that too. Dion, he's playing the guy that has Lamar. Does he double dip and play Flowers and Beckham? Just Flowers, Dion. Just Flowers.
Yeah, I wouldn't force Odell in your lineup. I don't think that's necessary to do there.
Especially now.
Next one here from Garrett. Do you guys think Eckler tries to finish strong for a new contract, or does he coast and possibly retire? Sound like he was open to either on his podcast. And that was, I don't know if you guys listened to that. That was a great interview with him and Matt Harmon. It was nice. Thinking about benching him for Devontae. Like Devontae Adams, I would probably
believe that's Devontae Adams and not Devontae Smith.
No, Devontae Smith is with an E.
I know, but sometimes I'm not the best typer. I can have typos. If it's Devontae Adams, yes. If it's Devontae Smith, no.
Agreed.
Yeah, there's a lot of possible options. I did see
Smith was questionable as well. But yeah, I would be surprised if Eckler retired. He's
seen 300 plus touches for the past 3-4 years. So
he was an undrafted free agent, and he got every bit of money that he was going to get, especially running back. Landscape.
It sucks that he's trending down because he's such an awesome guy and he loves the fantasy community. He loves playing fantasy football and stuff. But unfortunately, he's trending in the wrong direction. Hopefully, I'd like to see him keep playing. Like, go to somewhere and just be the pass catching running back.
Yeah.
Just, strictly be that. Make a couple $1 million a year. Go ahead and do that. That'll be
have us constantly have to worry about playing him every week.
Yeah. Henry, Connor, or Jones in the flex. No one's Aaron Jones. Bad matchup for James Conner.
Henry's still seeing touches. He's just not efficient.
I can't wait till we actually talk about that Bear Cardinal one because that's actually could be interesting for James Conner. Bears have yet to verse a running quarterback like Kyler Murray who can open up the running game, open up the running lanes for James Conner. I expect him to get a touchdown no matter what, but still, it just depends on how many yards.
I'd go Aaron Jones.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's obviously Aaron Jones, but still, James Conner deserves to be starred in some lineups.
Sure. Looking at the next game, we got the Washington Commanders taking on the New York Jets. Ike. Brian Robinson ruled out once again. Antonio Gibson wasn't great last week. He was decent, solid. We saw Chris Rodriguez get in the mix as well, the rookie out of Kentucky. Where do you have Gibson ranked this week with Robinson out once again? And could we see Chris Rodriguez be a factor even more in this offense against the Jets this week?
I have him as RB32, where he finished last week. RB19 the week before that, which I'm pretty sure that's when Brian Robinson got hurt. He is nothing more than a risky flex option. I'm sure you can find better options out there at this point. But still, he's got some intrigue if you are down bad at the running back position, which some people are, like Dylan over here, who's got James Cook and has to decide between 4 other random running backs.
Yeah, no, it's I don't have any issues playing Antonio Gibson in your RB2 spot. I'd hope he gets you 10 points in full PPR, which he might.
Oh yeah,
he might, but yeah,
he gets the targets, man.
Yeah, yes, he does. But in all honesty, guys, I don't want to start anybody else from this Commanders offense. Curtis Samuel may be in a pinch. I know we saw Terry McLaurin.
You can start Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, we saw Terry play better last week, but the majority of that was from Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, and they've already announced Sam Howell will be back in. So Howell is kind of coming back down to earth these last few weeks, and the matchup is just brutal.
Yeah, no, he actually made my drop list too. His big week was supposed to be against the Rams. He struggled tremendously and got benched. It's basically a wrap for him.
This Jets matchup couldn't have come at a worse time. And I'm pretty sure we've been talking about his playoff schedule being brutal down the stretch as it is, because I think they even have a tough game next week. So unfortunately, this isn't going to be
Dallas, I think. Yeah, Dallas.
This isn't going to be a good finish from this Commanders offense and Sam Howell, who's going to be hanging by a thread with this job next year. If I had to
Sanford.
take
I
a
don't
guess.
remember who it was.
Looking at the Jets side of things, Mike, and it's the same question every single week because these are the only two viable options in this offense. But Zach Wilson rolled out. We're getting Trevor Siemian at quarterback, which maybe is an upgrade, maybe it isn't. Doesn't have a strong arm. It is better than an Easton stick. But with Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, how do you feel with Trevor Siemian at the helm there? You all right with these guys?
When you say it better than an Easton stick, it sounds like the football machines that just launch the footballs. Like, is that like I don't know what the name of them are, but I can see it being.
It sounds like his name is the baseball bat. Like, Easton is the brand, obviously, and like an Easton stick. It's Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson. Mike, you still starting him with Trevor Siemian at quarterback this week?
Yeah, you're still starting Garrett Wilson here. Out of Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, I like Garrett Wilson more this week just based on the matchup. Second best matchup for wide receivers.
Dallas is the last week.
That's brutal. He's got a chance for a wide receiver to finish this week, I think, even with Trevor Siemian, just based on the matchup, because that Commander secondary does not know what they're playing in. Are they playing in zone? Are they playing in man? They don't know on any given play. So Garrett Wilson, is explosive enough to take a slant to the house on that. He's getting 8.8 targets the past 4 games. So it's not a great floor, obviously, but I think he's got a decent ceiling this week with the matchup. I'm a little scared of Breece Hall, though. He's only getting 10 rushing attempts a game the past 3. So basically everything.
For 20 yards?
Yeah, pretty much 30 yards, I believe. So it's pretty much just receptions and targets keeping him afloat, unfortunately.
Yeah, but that's fine. I think you could start both of these guys in a pinch. So, and Garrett Wilson, no matter what. Looking at the next game, we got the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Tennessee Titans. And before we jump into that game, just notice we have a bunch more questions, Mike. So let's go ahead and answer these from Malcolm. Flex 1, Barkley, Henry, D-Hop, Connor, Collins, if he plays. Just one here.
Barkley.
Barkley for me as well. Mike?
Yeah, Barkley.
Nick Mullins or just Smoking Joe Flacco?
Flacco. That one's Flacco.
The Flack man.
Kind of like Mullins against the Lions.
No, you never like Nick Mullins.
I was going to say Flacco is the safer play because it feels like he's going to throw for Tree Fitty every week. So I think
he just chucks the ball. He don't care.
Full send.
Yes, he does.
And what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Bench him for DTR?
No,
exactly. Nick Mullins can't get benched for Josh Dobbs at any point.
No, he's not. Josh Dobbs is the emergency quarterback. It's Jared Hall if he's going to get benched for anybody.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's Jared Hall then if he gets benched.
Because apparently when you get benched as a quarterback, you can't go to QB2. You have to go to QB3. The same shit happened with the Jets and Zach Wilson as well when moved him from QB1 to QB3.
Written rule.
Yep, it has to be. It has to be.
Oh, this one's a tough one, though, Malcolm. Baker or Tua?
I think you go Tua here. You're hoping for 1 million points to be scored in that Dallas Dolphins game. So give me Tua there.
Depends on Tyreek Hill.
Yes, if Tyreek Hill doesn't play, I'm playing.
Fuck, even without Tyreek Hill, he still did pretty good with Jalen Waddle last week. So
not as good as Baker.
No, obviously.
It was also the toughest matchup in football. It was also a tough matchup for Tua last week too against.
I get that, but it's based on Tyreek Hill for this one. My answer. If Tyreek Hill plays, you're playing Tua. If he doesn't play, you're playing Baker.
And Dion, we touched about Curtis Samuel a little bit. He was kind of the only other guy outside of Antonio Gibson that we were really interested in starting. Terry McLaurin, you can in a pinch if you don't have any better options, but he could legitimately get you 0. Or he could get you 20 anywhere in there.
Really depends on who you have over Curtis Samuel to start. I mean, him or Joshua Palmer is a good option. Him or JSN or Lockett. Who would you take?
JSN or Lockett. I probably lean JSN at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one from Jamie. We got full PPR. Nico or
Monty.
Oh, I think Monty's much safer. Worried about Nico. Nico hurt that calf again. He could.
That combined with Case Keenum. Agreed. I lean Monty safer.
Yep. back into our
Nico
games here.
Monty's averaging 14 points or whatever, 14, 15, whatever I say, his past 5 games. So that's good enough for me.
Yeah, Nico could get you 20 plus, but if he doesn't, he's getting you under 10.
Yeah.
Yep. Jumping back into the game previews, guys. We got the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Tennessee Titans. Ike, rank DK, Lockett, JSN this week. Where do you got them?
Easy. DK, JSN, Lockett in that order. DK has 3 wide receiver 2 finishes, 2 of them wide receiver 1 in the last 5 games. For JSN, he has 2 wide receiver 2 finishes, and as for Lockett, he only has 1. Granted, Lockett past 2 games has seen 8 to 9 targets a game, but he's not doing anything with it. He's not the touchdown threat. That's DK, obviously, and if it's not DK, it's going to be a JSN. He's had quite a few red zone targets lately, so that's the order I go in. I think DK is worth, obviously, wide receiver 2. JSN is nothing more than a risky flex. If you are down bad at wide receiver, he can be wide receiver 3. As for Lockett, I think he lost his spot in this offense. I think it's now DK and JSN.
He's down now. Yeah, I hear you there.
In terms of fantasy, because he's not getting like the touchdown threats or anything like that, but he's still getting targets, just not the the ones we want.
And like you mentioned, red zone targets for Tyler Lockett. Let's talk about red zone touches for Kenneth Walker and why he's not getting them. I remember going all the way back to the beginning of the season when Mike, I think it was you and I who were talking about it, and how much of an absurd number that Kenneth Walker in touches he got inside the 20-yard line. He's not getting that, and he's disappointed the last few weeks. Ike, are you worried about Kenneth Walker this week? Like, would you rather play Derrick Henry over him, who also hasn't produced, or where would you lean there? Because Zach Charbonnet is much more involved now.
He's more involved, but he's not doing anything with it.
Correct.
Really. Zach Charbonnet's been struggling. Kenneth Walker, no matter what you can diminish his workload all you want, he still can take an 80-yard touch or an 80-yard carry to the house, which is something you always want. He's more explosive than Zach Charbonnet, so I think that's what I want to lean with.
Yeah, no, that's definitely fair. I hear you there. And Mike, I've been looking forward to this question, me asking you this too, because Derrick Henry, he's been getting the touches, man, but he hasn't been playoff Derrick Henry the past few weeks, to the point where I'm curious if people are leaning towards, if they have Tajay Spears as a handcuff, if they would be interested in playing Spears over Henry at this point, or is that not for you by any means?
No, I mean, if you got the type of backups that like Dion was talking about, and like who else was it? Malcolm, you can get away with benching Derrick Henry. But Tajay Spears, no. I mean, like Zeke or Derrick Henry, it's Derrick Henry still. I mean, I know Zeke had the
Derrick Henry's still top 15.
Exactly. He's just getting too many touches. I know he's not doing much with it, but I mean, still, when it gets into the red zone, who's the ball going to? Derrick Henry. I mean, they might even do a wildcat with Derrick Henry, and he throws for a touchdown. It's in the realm of possibility here. So, I mean, it depends on your backups, but most likely, I mean, you probably don't have the backups that we're seeing here for these questions. So, like, you're still playing Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. That's definitely fair. Would you say Alexander Madison's out and you picked up Ty Chandler off the waiver wire a couple weeks? Would you rather play Derrick Henry or would you rather play Ty Chandler there?
Derrick Henry.
Really?
Dude, Derrick Henry all it takes is
19.8 touches the past,
and he's already better than Ty Chandler can dream of.
Yeah, 19.8 touches the past 4 games. I mean, it's
you want 20 touches from your running back, and he's literally 0.2 off. So
there's only 7 running backs in the past 4 games that are at that point, and he's barely. If you want to round up, he's the 7th.
All right, fair. Yeah, it's definitely a good matchup against Seattle too. You like that? Even though they traded for a defensive tackle at the deadline, I'm blanking on his name right now. Somebody help me out. Yeah. It hasn't been much.
Who's actually been good for IDP. I don't know if any in IDP leagues. He's had 10 plus fantasy points in like 3 of the last 4 games. So he's one of the guys that you should probably pick up. But I'm going for a big man in one of those leagues, so I gotta pay attention to that shit.
Nice. Looking at the afternoon games on Sunday now, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Trevor Lawrence, not going to be good to go. Zay Jones, also not good to go with the hamstring, unfortunately, after he had a big last couple weeks. It was seeing a ton of targets. Does that mean this is going to be a Calvin Ridley week? Is he a lock it in wide receiver 2? Even with CJ Beathard, not Bethard, Beathard at quarterback this weekend.
This is one of the weirder stats I've seen. He's in his past 3 games, he's averaging 10.3 targets per game. Calvin Ridley is. He has zero, big fat 0 wide receiver 3 or better finishes. He's finished outside of the wide receiver 3 with that many targets in all 3 of those games. Again, still a great matchup, so you gotta risk it for the biscuit. He's with that type of workload. It's hard to ignore. It really is.
I was gonna say 2 weeks ago, Ridley and Zay Jones both saw over 12 targets and both finished outside the top 36. Right? It was something silly like that.
Yes. Evan Ingram was the only one who did anything, and he had 12 targets too.
Yeah, definitely interesting stuff there.
It's one of those things where it's like, man, do I want the workload where I know he'll get 6 to 10 targets, or do I want to go with the guy that is a deep, like Calvin Ridley or Odell? Who do you want to go with, really? I mean,
that one's Ridley.
Yeah,
Let's just roll it over into the next question here. And after what we saw from Chris Godwin last week, would you rather play Calvin Ridley or Chris Godwin? Ike, I'll let you answer, and then Mike, you can just go ahead and roll into the question.
Chris Godwin I would rather go Calvin Ridley. To me, it's a better matchup for Calvin Ridley. Plus, with all the injuries you said, also helps. Calvin Ridley doesn't have to deal with Mike Evans and Rashad White in the passing game, so.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a good matchup for both teams here. Mike, where are you going?
I'm going to go Godwin with that one just because of better quarterback play. Yes, there's a slight decrease in the targets going from 10 to 8.7. So, slight decrease, but way better QB play. So he's a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, getting those targets. 10th best matchup for wide receivers. So yeah, it's a better matchup for Calvin Ridley, but it's not a bad matchup for Chris Godwin either. And like I said, Baker's just on fire. QB6 the past 3 games. I mean, right. I'm going to say it now. Tampa Bay is winning that NFC South division. Yeah, especially after the Saints lost last week.
I think that's definitely fair to say.
Thursday, not last week.
Right when we're all out on Chris Godwin after playing him most of the season, he pulls you right back in, guys. Let's go.
Classic.
Yeah, absolutely classic. What do we got here? We got some questions here. Keith, what's up, my friend? Dalton Kincaid or Tucker Kraft? We talked about this at bowling on Wednesday.
Dalton.
And I had actually leaned Tucker Kraft now.
I go Tucker with that one.
With
what?
Luke Musgrave being rolled out, I think Kraft is the best option.
Musgrave's out. You get the doubtful Christian Watson. You got a banged up Dontavian Wicks.
You got a banged up Jaden Reed. Maybe no AJ Dillon.
This game's gonna go more than 20 combined fantasy or 20 combined points. It's gonna be like 10 to 7.
Unfortunately, Dawson Knox ate it into Kincaid's floor and ceiling when he came back, so
that's fair.
You can't trust Kincaid.
I mean, he's had, I don't know why I said earlier, I have it up here, but he's had up until the past few weeks, he's had 5 straight tight end 1 finishes. So what more can you ask from tight end?
So you play.
We're in playoffs, like. We gotta make the right decision here, man. You would still lean.
Yeah, but Kraft, huh? I can see if Tucker Kraft was in a good matchup, like against the Vikings or the Lions or Bears or whatever, but he's going against a team that is really good against the pass but struggles against the run. So it's going to be a lot of Aaron Jones more than passing. And they're going to want to win to make the playoffs, so they're going to want to keep the ball. So.
All right.
I mean, you play Kraft and hope he wears a cup this week.
Yeah, tell him to stop hopping over people.
Man, what's the deal with that? That happened to Kyron last night too.
Every tight end
do it in the group chat.
Tight
I
ends like
sent
to just jump people. Apparently,
Kyron
No,
Williams.
I was talking about the balls thing. The guy that Kyron had to leave the game yesterday because the guy grabbed a whole handful of his freaking Johnson. Man, it looked absolutely brutal.
That's what you focused on in that game, huh?
Yeah. Well, when they show the replay, what else are we going to see there?
The one takeaway, Kyron got his shit just absolutely throttled.
He tried to rip a ding dang off.
There needs to be a civil suit filed.
I got my own hang dang.
Got my own hang dang to touch. We got Jake Ferguson or Dallas Goedert this week. Wow, tough question here.
Oh man, that one's I still go Dallas Goedert. I still go Dallas Goedert over Ferguson. Sorry.
They might not have to do much in that game though.
I just spit out my tongue. Sorry, Keith.
I think it's Jake Ferguson. I think that's where we go here. Like I said, the Eagles aren't going to have to do anything really. And I think
they might have to score one touchdown and be like, you know what? We're good.
The game script, I know it might not be a shootout there, but the game script is pointing to maybe a lot of points being scored in that Dolphins game.
Could be.
I think I want a piece of it with Ferguson there.
That game's so weird.
Next one from Ray. What's up? Chris Godwin versus the Jags at home. Jaden Reed versus the Panthers on the road. Or just play Austin Eckler at home versus the Bills. Standard scoring, 6-point PPR. With it be 6-point PPR touchdown.
I actually like Chris Godwin.
If it's standard scoring, I'm Austin Eckler automatically out on him there. Chris Godwin, Jaden Reed.
Yeah, that's Godwin. Ray, I'd go Godwin in that one.
Jaden Reed's banged up, isn't he?
Yeah.
I actually think the standard
go Godwin.
I think standard scoring actually helps Eckler in this case because he ain't doing anything as far as yards, but he has the best opportunity on that offense to score a touchdown.
It's fair.
I don't know, man. Not after the work that Isaiah Spiller just got in the red zone last week. Eckler didn't get any red zone work, and Isaiah Spiller got all of it, actually.
Pretty sure Isaiah got a decent amount of touches, too. Right?
We probably should have touched on Isaiah Spiller, too, and that was a bad hosting job by me. But anyways, yeah.
We are moving along.
It is Chris Godwin as well. Browns D versus the Texans on the road, or the Eagles D at home against the Giants on Christmas Day. Give me Browns D against KC.
Browns D.
Yeah,
also, you missed Albert's question. Metcalf or Mostert, and it's Mostert. It's Mostert.
I go Mostert.
If you're going to start 8-10, how do you not start?
I think you do too, and you could run on Dallas as well. So I think that's where I lean. Give me
at most Metcalf will see 8 to 10 touches. Mostert should see
15
20 plus.
He's getting 15. That's his sweet spot. Is 15.
Yeah, that's fair. Jumping back into our game previews, guys. We got the Arizona Cardinals taking on the Chicago Bears. Worried about Connor this week after the Bears just shut down the Browns run game? I know you touched on it a bit earlier.
It's the first time the Bears have really ever, actually all 2023, have played a run-first quarterback, so I'm kind of intrigued to see how it works out. It could open up lanes for the running back. It could open up lanes for Kyler Murray. So this is one of those games where if you believe in the player, you can play him. If you believe in the workload, like I do for James Conner, which is averaging 21 touches per game in his past 2 games, and he scored 3 touchdowns in those 2 games. So that type of workload I do like. I think at some point he can get in the end zone, and that's something you always want. But still, this Bears defense is playing absolutely insane, which is weird to say. So I would temper expectations on most of the Cardinals offense.
Yeah, Bears defense is very, very good until we get into the final 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, and then our pets' heads start to fall off. Definitely not good stuff there. Marquise Brown ruled out here, guys. Does that give you any interest in any of the other pass catchers in this offense in a tough matchup like it all, or no?
Nope. It's Trey McBride or bust.
Dylan wants an excuse to say the Dortchman.
The Deutschman? No, it's Trey McBride, man. If you want anybody starting from this team, it's Trey McBride, probably Kyler, and then James Conner in that order.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Looking at the Bears side of things, Justin Fields disappointed last week a bit in the first round of fantasy playoffs. Do you expect him to bounce back in a solid matchup against the Arizona Cardinals defense? Which we should mention. Sorry, Mike. We should mention, too, that this game is going to be unseasonably warm. Like, it's going to be 55 degrees on Sunday. And it was just all sorts of weird stuff. So, Mike, sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. I mean, better weather? Psh, give me that. Yeah, he's got the 9th best matchup for QBs. He's going to finish easily as a top 10 QB, possibly top 5, depending on the passing yardage. Depends on if this game does go back and forth or if it's more of kind of a blowout. I don't expect a blowout. See, here's the thing. Did you guys know he's 6th in passing attempts the past 3 games? 6th.
I didn't know that, but that doesn't necessarily surprise me. Okay.
But with how good the defense is playing, 6th in pass attempts, QBs. That's what surprised me. All right, that raises his floor because he's also running the ball about 10 times a game for about 50 yards. So, I mean, that's 40-plus opportunities right there for Justin Fields. Give me a bounce back week.
Yep. Guys, I think we're staying away from the backfield now after what we just saw last week from Foreman. Wasn't great. Roshan getting mixed in here and there. Same with Herbert, but stay away in your fantasy playoffs from those guys. You don't want anything to do with them. Fire up DJ Moore. Should be another week healthier off that ankle injury, and fire up Cole Kmet unless you got someone like a top 5 guy because Cole's just been very solid. Yeah, I would start Trey McBride over him, but Cole's probably only a few spots behind him, correct, Ike, in the rankings?
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. Next game we got the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Miami Dolphins. We touched on this, but just saw, once again, we have a bunch of questions, Mike. So how about you go ahead and pull the first one up, which one you see. Go ahead.
Oh, here it is. Big Trev. PPR flex here. He's got Jake Ferguson, Brandon Cooks, Adam Thielen, Jalen Warren, and he's leaning Fergalicious.
I think that's the way you lean too.
Man, that's not tight end premium though. That's where I'm scared.
I think he scores the most fantasy points out of everybody there though. Maybe not Brandon Cooks. Maybe Cooks catches a long touchdown here. Maybe he gets a big play there.
Cooks hasn't caught a long touchdown all year. He's literally the short guy, so you got hope for goal line.
Got tackled on the one a couple weeks ago that drove me nuts because I played him that week in fantasy. But this one's really tough.
You can lean Ferguson on this one. I
guess the Dolphins though.
I
go Ferguson. I guess.
Also, don't hate Jalen Warren, but
that's the other one I was debating with in my mind is between Warren and Ferguson. But I mean, Warren, I guess, is more of like if you look at the safety because he's a running back, he's going to get the touches and whatnot. But I still think Ferguson has a solid floor. He's getting 24 targets past 3 games, 17 receptions. So like his floor isn't that far off from Warren's, and he's got a better ceiling.
Yeah, Angelo says too many maybes for Cooks. I dropped him 2 weeks ago. Don't blame me there, but
I'm intrigued in what kind of league you're in because if you're in 12-team league, that was probably not a good idea.
And then,
sorry, my bad.
Pick 1 tight end, 1 flex, full point PPR. He's got Kincaid, McBride, Palmer. Just go with the easy 1 tight end there. That's McBride there, yeah. Connor. And then
Ridley would probably be the next best option.
There you go. Yep.
It's between Ridley and Palmer. Out of those,
they go McBride, Ridley, Palmer.
Yeah, I know it's just
Warren,
1 flex. You can't go wrong going with Palmer or Ridley. I mean, they're both probably going to see about the same amount of targets.
Jamie wants to know Roshan or Josh Palmer. That one's Palmer for me.
Oh, yeah.
I know you want us to say Roshan, Jamie. You're a big Roshan fan.
He wanted affirmation for sure. Yep.
It's Palmer. Sorry, man.
Next one for Ray. Forgot if it rains too much in the Dolphins game for Aubrey. Should I play Dustin Hopkins versus the Texans in the Dome or Matt Gay versus the Falcons on the road?
How do you bench the guy that is the only kicker?
I'm not worried about it.
Missed a field goal.
Not worried about it.
It was him and Harrison Buckner, and Buckner missed one last week. You start Brandon Aubrey.
It is a little worrisome if it's brutal rain, but yeah, I hear you. Why don't you just
Matt
stay
Gay
with
has been
Aubrey
brutal
just because he's
lately.
got
Dustin
you.
Hopkins is fine, but still Arbery has been
He's the
on
guy.
tear.
He hasn't missed a field goal all year.
Matt Gay has been oddly limited in practice and is questionable as well. That's why I dropped him in the home league. He's like, yeah, you haven't been good the last few weeks, and now for some reason you're popping up on the injury report. I'm good. I don't need him to stop kicking midway through the game or something. Something happens.
And then Connor asked if Trevor plays, does that change? It changes. You play Calvin Ridley 100% if Trevor plays.
I think Trevor was ruled out, I want to say already.
It's unlikely. It's unlikely.
Okay. Right. Jumping back into the game previews, we got the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Miami Dolphins. Ike, Dak probably ruined a lot of people's fantasy chances last week if you had him after he had got your teams there after being very solid for the last 10 weeks. But it wasn't good. Does he get back on track here against the Dolphins? And where do you have him ranked?
I have him, I believe, as quarterback 7 or 8. I expect a shootout between these teams. It's a weird game because Dallas can't beat a playoff team, and the Miami Dolphins can't beat a playoff team either. So it's kind of weird. I mean, Dallas beat Eagles, but
we get our first tie of the year.
No, don't ruin this game with rain, please. The Bills Cowboys game was ruined with rain last week. Don't ruin this one too. And now I'm worried because Ray brought it up about the rain. Now I'm worried about it.
I haven't looked yet. I usually look on Saturday, I think, but
yeah, weather can change.
Barring rain, I think Dak should be a top 10 quarterback no matter what.
Yep. We touched on Brandon Cooks. He's iffy, not really leaning towards wanting to play him. You're playing CD. You're playing Tony Pollard, even though he's been a bit of a disappointment.
You are not playing Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, if you can avoid Brandon Cooks, let's avoid that. You're playing Ferg most of the time. Looking at the Dolphins side of things, Mike, and I know you want to talk about it. Let's talk about the backfield. You can only play one, and I know you might have. Oh, you traded Mostert in the home league. Never mind. But Achane or Mostert, who are you playing?
It's Mostert. All right, the Dolphins clearly have a plan for this guy. Mostert has more touchdowns this season than he had in his entire career leading up to this season. Thank you, Underdog, for that one. He's getting, like I said, he's getting that sweet spot back at 15-plus touches a game. Back when Achane was kind of making his mark on the offense, Mostert kind of took a back seat, and he was getting about 10 to 13 touches a game. Once he hits that 15 touch threshold, he has been a lock it and load it, top 10 running back each week. So it's Mostert with the anticipation that they're probably going to continue to ride him into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Achane's going to get sprinkled in. And Achane, he's more the pass catching back now. Like there was a lot of lost points for Achane last week. Just in the passing game because Tua overthrew him a little bit. But like give me Mostert just because you get the touch appreciation with him.
Yep, for sure. It was nice to see Jaylen Waddle finally blow up, Mike, after you and I argued a little bit like I wanted Jaylen Waddle to blow up. You were kind of still like, he's been fine. And we finally got the blow up week from Waddle last week, which was nice on the long touchdown from Tua. It just took Tyreek Hill being out of the game. Tyreek Hill should be back for this one. I like him still if he's good to go. I like Jaylen Waddle, obviously. Other than that, yeah, I think we're good. Next game here, the night game. Interesting night game of choice. We got the New England Patriots taking on the Denver Broncos. Ike, switching the question up on you. Mondre is out. Is Zeke a top 24 guy for you this week? Would you rather play him or Javonte Williams?
I'd rather play Zeke. Zeke is definitely a top 24 guy for me. He just sees a lot more targets than Javonte does now. I think in the target game, it more goes to Samaje Perine as of late. Plus Zeke.
Nope.
Samaje actually has less than Javonte, huh?
Just by one. It's
okay. But it's not anything crazy. I'm pretty sure Zeke has had 7 targets 2 weeks ago. I don't know what it was last week, but still, he is seeing a decent workload enough to be a top 24 guy.
It's Javonte. I know you didn't ask me, Dylan, but it's Javonte. 6 red zone attempts compared to 2 for Samaje Perine. Javonte is the lead back, and he gets the red zone attempts.
Yeah, but Zeke's the only guy now.
Yeah, but it's Bailey Zappi at QB.
We don't need to touch. Speaking of Bailey
That's
Zappi,
fine. Russell Wilson
hasn't
been great either.
I trust Russell Wilson over Bailey
Russell
Zappi.
Wilson averages 180 yards per game. He's been nothing as a quarterback, so I don't know how that helps Javonte Williams.
There it is. All the listeners. It took an hour and 15 minutes to get these two idiots to argue, and they finally did it. Let's go. And it took Javonte Williams and Ezekiel.
And it's the one that he actually likes Javonte this time. Usually I'm the Javonte believer, but yeah, that's interesting.
But we could go ahead and hop off the Patriots offense because it's literally Zeke or bust here.
Yes.
In all honesty.
Yes,
well, hold on.
Hunter Henry doesn't get enough targets.
Damn Henry.
That's fair.
I know. But he catches so many damn ass touchdowns all of a sudden, and it's frustrating. So in an absolute pinch.
No, you are not starting Hunter Henry. In the last 3 games, guess how many targets he has? 2.
Last 3?
In the last 3 games, he has 2 targets. Both of them caught for touchdowns. Yeah, exactly. You can't start that. You cannot start that.
Because when Bailey Zappi throws, he throws to Zeke. That's why you should probably start him.
The running back,
like you said.
Yeah, definitely fair.
You can touch on it, but you're not starting him.
No.
Looking at the Broncos side of things, LaPlante, if you have both these guys on your roster, only have one flex spot where you go on between Sutton or Javonte Williams.
It's Javonte. 17.8 touches the past 4 games. Cortland Sutton's never going to see 17 targets.
He might score. But I feel like, kind of like what Ike was alluding to, I feel like Cortland Sutton has much more upside to score a touchdown because that's what he does. And I'm a little bit worried about Javonte there. But you're not worried about Javonte at all?
No, I know I touched on it. His targets haven't been there, as much the past 3 games, but this is a New England defense that likes to rush the passer. So I do actually think that Javonte could see 6+ targets in this game just due to the pass rush and Russ dumping it off the entire game.
Yep. Yeah, definitely fair. Looking at we're finally to the Christmas Day games, fellas. We got 3 more games left. Merry Christmas. We got the Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. Ike, can Jacoby Myers and Devontae Adams do it again? And I don't mean Jacoby Myers throwing a touchdown to Devontae Adams. Mean 2 top 24 finishes from one another.
Really depends on who you got at the wide receiver position. Obviously, you're not playing both of them. If you have both of them on the same team, that'd be silly. But last time they played Kansas City, Devontae struggled, was wide receiver 32, but still top 36 wide receiver. And as for Jacoby, he was a wide receiver 14. So it just really depends on how you feel about O'Connell. I think he's looking better. He looked really good the past few weeks. He dropped, 4 touchdowns or whatever the past week. So
yep.
I think they both can be started, but it just depends on it really depends on who you have on your bench or who else you have at the wide receiver spot.
You got T. Higgins over both of these guys, or where would you go there?
I think Devontae
like T. Higgins is a good barometer tonight.
I think Devontae Adams should, no matter what, be started because he's that guy that can get you 10+ targets, and once he does, he will do pretty well at that. Jacoby Myers is more touchdown dependent, whether it's passing the ball or catching the ball, whatever he does. But still, I would go Devontae over Jacoby, and if I had to, I'd do Devontae, T, and then Jacoby.
Yeah, totally fair there. And then with the return of Josh Jacobs, that means Zamir White is dead once again for our fantasy teams. Look
at dead. I'm burying you.
I'm alive. Mike, looking at the Kansas City side of things, if you are a Pacheco owner and what we saw from CEH and Jerick McKinnon the last couple weeks, are you worried about those two eating into Pacheco's work for the next 2 weeks in the fantasy playoffs, or are you still rolling Isaiah Pacheco out?
It's a little bit. I mean, let's be real. CEH was all right last week. He got 4 receptions on 4 targets, 64 yards, and the touchdown in the passing game.
Sick touchdown catch for a little guy too. It was a nice go up and get it type of grab.
But do I think CEH is going to eat into that workload, or McKinnon's really going to eat into that workload? If anything, I think CEH just eats into McKinnon's workload because Isaiah Pacheco is the guy who runs in between the tackles. All right, so I do think there's a little bit of work going to be eaten into Pacheco, but you're still starting Pacheco as a rock solid RB2.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about him this week. It's like,
but I'm with Angela. Really want Rice to the moon.
That's that. Yes. I lost my train of thought now.
Shocker.
I was just worried. Are they just gonna? I'm just worried about them leaning on Pacheco like they were earlier in the year. Like, I don't know if I expect to see him getting 15 touches right back at it this week. That's what worries me here. But that with Pacheco being back, CEH and Jerick McKinnon, I don't think are either starter worthy. Do you guys agree with that? Or Ike, we've been saying the last couple weeks, Jerick McKinnon in the playoffs, all he does is score touchdowns. Are you still okay starting with him, thinking maybe he finds the end zone against the Raiders this week once again?
Pacheco has to be out for him to be even thought about something.
When Pacheco was healthy the past 2 games, he was running back 4 and running back 8. Like
Pacheco was?
Before he got the injury, he was running back 4 and running back 8. Like they were fine handing the ball off to Isaiah Pacheco with
McKinnon was literally only used when
Pacheco was injured.
Pacheco was out.
Yeah,
same with CEH too.
It was the same. Well, Jerick was also hurt and banged up for a lot of the season as well. But I do hear you guys. Yeah, like I said, I don't know if they're gonna want to lean on him right away with the shoulder injury, but that's just my personal preference. Could be definitely wrong. Next game we got here, battle of the NFC East teams. We got the New York Giants taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. And before we jump into that game, let's answer this start-sit question real quick from Pablo. JT, Zeke, Saquon, choose 2.
JT Saquon.
That one is JT. Better matchup.
Choose 2.
Oh, yeah. God damn. All right, JT and Zeke. JT and Zeke. I think the floor is solid for Saquon, obviously. Just a tough matchup kills that ceiling. If he doesn't score you a touchdown, he's probably getting not double-digit points.
And I'm going to plead the 5th. I'm not going to answer that. New York Giants taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, Darren Waller is back, and I actually happened to find him on the waiver wire in one of the leagues in one of our leagues right now. Good luck. I was able to slide him in at my tight end where I was trotting out Chicago, man. So I feel like Darren Waller has a little bit more upside even with Tommy Cutlets throwing him the football. Ike, you have him as a top 10 guy this week.
That was only on 42% of the snaps too as well. So honestly, nothing more I can say is expect both to go up. He saw 6 targets last week, and with more snaps, I'm assuming more targets. So yeah, with tight end being so brutal, he's probably in the top 10, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I think he deserves to be in the top 10 as well. I'm not expecting a vintage Darren Waller week like we saw with the Raiders, obviously. But
dude, all you need is 10 points.
4 catches for 40 yards and a touchdown. Give me that all day long.
More likely 4 catches for 40 yards. But
just give me that. That's even fine. 8 is great from the tight end position. LaPlante looking at the Eagles side of things, and apparently this is the most unhappy team in the NFL from things I'm reading. Like they were the most unhappy 10-1 team of all time and stuff. So what's it like in there right now with them losing 3 straight? But from the let's talk the positive a little bit. We saw DeAndre Swift get a solid workload again last week. So does that give you assurance to want to start him in your fantasy playoff matchup this week,
I mean,
my
you
friend?
probably don't have a lot of better options, but he's a lock and load RB2 with that workload. Assuming he gets that workload, he did see at least 5 red zone touches last week as well. It's just they can't score right now unless it's that damn brotherly shove. So temper your expectations. This isn't the great offense we thought it was going to be down the stretch in the fantasy playoffs, but you got to start Swift if he's getting 20 plus touches a game.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely hear that. And I know you guys talked earlier. You said you were interested in sitting Devonta Smith with solid options. Mike, I'm curious. Why did you say that? Is it more injury related? Is it his play? What were you thinking with that?
Well, I mean, it's a combination. I wouldn't say it's necessarily his play, but more Jalen Hurts' play. It's Jalen Hurts just turning the ball over too much, and when they do get into the red zone, the only thing they can score with is the brotherly shove. So there's no ceiling for Devonta Smith. Yeah, there's a little bit of a floor there, but with how the offense has been struggling, you can only kind of get away with confidently starting A.J. Brown.
Yeah, that's definitely fair there. And guys, we got one more game to go over. We got the Baltimore Ravens.
This one's going to be, we say it every week, it's the game of the year.
Game of the week. Let's roll. Baltimore Ravens taking out the San Francisco 49ers. Ike. Ravens lost. Keaton Mitchell, who is just starting to get a larger pie of this percentage of the pie of this offense. Justice Hill or Gus Edwards this week with Keaton Mitchell going down with a season-ending ACL injury?
Gus Edwards, easy. He has a better chance of falling in the end zone, and plus he's been true. Other than that 3-week stretch where they were getting Keaton Mitchell involved, other than that, Gus Edwards been pretty solid. So yeah, that's what I'm going with.
I fully expect Justice Hill to take that Keaton Mitchell role.
Just not as good.
Yeah.
Yep. And then looking at Odell, Ike DM as top 36 guy this week.
Say the right answer.
I honestly think they're going to need him this week. So he is definitely a borderline top 36. It depends on who you got, wide receiver to start him, but still, if you're in deep leagues, 12 plus, he's definitely worth a shot.
All right. Looking at the 49ers side of things, and I just wanted to share this stat that I saw on Twitter, and I wish I remembered who posted it, but unfortunately I don't. CMC running back 1 in fantasy football this year. Raheem Mostert RB2. Does anybody want to take a guess how many more points Christian McCaffrey has over?
Oh, it's a lot.
100.
Raheem Mostert.
That's a lot.
It's right. It is like 100. That's so crazy. It's like the Travis Kelce
98.
gap between tight ends a few years, like last year and prior years. It's just nuts. But looking at the wide receiver room here, and it's been Debo who's been going absolutely off the past few weeks after a pedestrian start to the season. He was good through the middle, and now he's just winning teams championships. Mike, do you have Debo over Brandon Ayuk rest of season? And are you worried about Ayuk after a disappointing last week?
I mean, I'm a little worried about it because, frankly, they don't need him. I mean, this team is running through CMC, and when it's not running through CMC, they're giving it to Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel, the past 4 games, is 6th in wide receiver touches. So, like, it is Deebo Samuel, easily rest of season over Ayuk. And I think we got our old school, wide receiver 3 finish Deebo Samuel from like 3-4 years ago. Like, he's back in that mode.
Yeah. He's been very, very good down the stretch, and it really is.
It's hard to defend this offense. Let's just be real. I mean, how do you stop Kittle, Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, CMC? I mean, when Purdy's being this efficient, then this is going to be his toughest test against this Ravens defense. Yep. So, like, when it's a tough test like that, I fully expect them just to lean on CMC.
Angelo's bringing up Isaiah Likely. We should have touched on him a little bit. Ike, how high do you have him in your rankings? Is he close to a top 5 guy this week, or are you still?
I'd have to look, but I'm pretty sure. I know for sure he's top 8. No,
he saw an absurd target share. Mike, do you remember what they said on the show last night?
About Likely's target share?
Yeah, it was like 25 or 30% target share.
It's Mark Andrews' target share.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying. I said pick up Isaiah Likely because Lamar loves to target the tight end. He's targeted fucking Lamar or Mark Andrews 25+%, and then even with Isaiah Likely getting 10%, that's like 35%. So
I can't remember the offensive
he can go off, man.
Name. Do you remember the offensive coordinator's name for the Ravens? He's the Georgia's old
Todd Monken.
Monken.
Thank you. They had Bowers.
Bowers, man.
Yeah, so that offense is going to incorporate the tight end.
And Isaiah Likely has that type of skill set compared to Mark Andrews, where Mark Andrews is more straight down line type of slower type moving. Isaiah Likely can actually move around a bit. He's a little bit faster. So
you didn't call Brock Bowers by his right name either, LaPlante. It's future Bear Brock Bowers.
Future daddy. Why would they take him when they have Cole Kmet, who's literally 6'6", 260 pounds and can do what Brock Bowers does, just not as great, but still fine.
A lot of teams like two tight ends, man. And let's be real, Robert Tonyan has given the Bears nothing. So Cole Kmet.
Unfortunately, I don't think Brock Bowers helps out the blocking situation.
A top 10 pick on a backup tight end, man. Or what are you, the Packers trying to draft?
Exactly. He needs to go somewhere where, like, I want him to go to Kansas City because when Travis Kelce leaves, and then
how's that gonna happen?
Hopefully they trade up. Be like, fuck Chris Jones now. I don't know, whoever, but try and get Brock Bowers because obviously Mahomes needs a tight end to succeed. So
he's got Rice.
Give me that Rice. All right, guys, that wraps up the Week 16 game preview show, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit that bell for notifications. We really appreciate it. And then head on over to fantasy6pack.net/plans. Become an all-access member for just $9.99 a month. Plus, use promo code FFPlayoffs at checkout. You get 25% off as well. We will be back with you guys on the Sunday Social. You said Chris Robbins actually doing a DFS show tomorrow too.
Correct. Before the 2-game slate, he's going live at, I think, 3 p.m. Eastern time.
Perfect. So make sure you guys are tuning into that. And then, I think that's it, Mike. Am I missing anything besides wishing everybody a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you Sunday.
Merry Christmas, guys. Have a good one.